Hi and welcome everyone to On the Couch with Diary of a Stupid Woman. Today with me I have three regular guys. We're going to discuss a topic called the brutal truth about men. And this is based on the video that you've already watched before this one. And I will introduce all of them and then we'll take it from there. So on my right is Jonathan, to my left, immediate left is Martins and Salami. These are just regular guys, so you'll be hearing the brutal truth about men from regular guys. People have asked me why I don't have any female on the panel, and that's because women are always talking. The men normally do not say much, and so let's hear their voices today. The video before this, if you haven't watched it, has a man on a panel with 5 other women. And on that panel, he seems to dominate. There are 3 things that I took away from what he said, and that's what's going to form the foundation of our conversation today. So welcome, everyone. I hope everybody is comfortable. Shout out to my viewers.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, good. So I'm going to go straight into it, and anyone can talk. Be as free, relaxed as you want to be. I'm going to just open it up and then you guys will talk. So the first point that I picked up, all of you watched the video, right?
Yes, I said that.
And the first thing I want to ask is, what was your initial reaction? Just, one word, initial reaction from the video.
I think for me it was the fact that while the woman was being attacked by the man, the other women did not raise their voices to support her. That was what I took away. That was my first immediate shock when I saw the video.
I wasn't shocked. I could relate with what he was saying. It was more like someone that you are not scared to hear your opinion.
I was trying to understand why they were having the conversation, so I watched it several times before I understood.
I don't understand. What do you mean? What does that mean?
Because the guy knows what he's saying.
Fantastic. And so taking it from there, the 3 points that I picked, the first one, and that's what we're going to discuss now, is that he said that men will have sex partners outside marriage because it's in their nature. And they expect their women, their wives, their girlfriends to be faithful because men are territorial. And so men cheat, women cheat, men don't cheat. So anyone can take it. That was his first point, that women cheat, men have sex. So take it from there.
I mean, when you listen to the guy, the point I think he was trying to make was that it is within the right of a man to have extramarital affair. In fact, to the man, it's not even extra, because it's within his right to sleep with whoever he chooses. So a man doesn't cheat. And I said it somewhere, and I said, look, where I come from in Edo State, there's an adage that says, what it means is that a man does not commit adultery. It is within his rights to seek and sleep with whoever he chooses. On the other hand, if a woman is caught in adultery or cheating, she has to be made to do a walk of shame as an atonement for her sin. Alright? So the point is that men are allowed, tradition allows it. Some religions allow you to marry 4 wives. The society frowns at the fact that a woman would have extramarital affair. If a husband went to the father of the wife and say your daughter was caught cheating, they're going to be like, what? Like she has brought disgrace to them. But if a wife went to the father of the husband and then said that my husband cheated, he would ask her, what do you want me to do?
You have to understand.
Because it's within his rights
Okay,
to
so
do
Jonathan,
that.
what's your own take? Because he has brought it from his cultural perspective, which is interesting because at least everybody is conversant with the stage. I mean, that means it's out there. It's not what do you call it? It's not strange. So what would you say in today's context? Because cheating has become the norm. It's not just even the men that are cheating now, but apparently women too are giving men a run for their money. So based on what he said, that women cheat, men have sex. What does that mean to you?
I think that those are that's two different conversations. The first one is that has to do with the psyche of the guys, and that is something I think women need to understand, because sometimes when you talk about it, women think that men are like dogs, that they can't control themselves and they just want to have sex.
But can men control themselves?
Yes, but men, the natural setup of a guy is, for me, I find women attractive.
So have you had?
And I'm married.
So have you had any extramarital affair?
No.
Salami.
Are you being categorical about that? You have never
Are you stating?
had sex with someone else apart from your wife?
No.
Good. All right. So Salami, what does the statement mean to you? Men have sex. So basically, what he's saying is that you can be in a relationship as a guy with a relationship or with your wife, and for you, you can step out because it's just sex. But if your wife steps out, it's cheating. Why do we have the double standard?
So for me, I'm going to start by, I think 2 days ago, a guy posted on Twitter, he was talking about all men that goes out today to cheat. He started cursing them. Apparently this guy is single. So, and for me, what I think, or what came to my mind there was, hey, it's not possible for you to, you can't, if you have never tried an exam, you can't really, talk about it. It's easy for you to say. But the thing is, if you are married, you would
Understand.
You would understand. So it only takes a married man to understand why he would cheat.
Understand what? You see, because it's the double standards here that is top of mind for most people. That why is it okay for the man to creep? Why is it okay for him? And then we now tag his own as just sex. But if the woman creeps, her own is defined as cheating, which for me is what the men are. So why? So that's why. Bring it home.
It's not.
Why isn't what is good for the goose good for the gander?
I mean, in principle, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Even in practice, I believe women cheat as much as men. But women are restrained by different things, and men are encouraged by different things. Nature assumes that the man is permitted to go out there and fulfill his fantasy. All right, because a man can sleep with 10 women in one day, in fact, in 2 hours. I'm not kidding. A man can have sex with 20 different women in one day, and he'll be fine. Unless women probably would do it, but I'm not sure whether most women would do that. All right, but nature sort of allows the man to exercise his natural instincts to have sex with multiple women.
And this brings me to the next point he made. So the next point he made was that, and he was talking, straight at these women, that women should accept a man and his nature and all. If she can't, it's better for her to remain single. So it's a question of, is it nature or nurture? Is that how you men are wired? So what you are basically saying to me now is that all of you here seated as men are wired to appreciate more than one woman. Are you wired to, and you're wired to have sex with more than one woman?
I think it's just nature. I think it's nature, because the thing is about men is most of the time, because there was the time you asked him that question, that can you control themselves? Men can control themselves, but the thing is that when they control themselves with their head. But you guys control yourself with your heart.
So that's where the problem is.
So that's where I think the problem is.
So if women decided to start controlling themselves with their heads, would it be okay?
I think I would respect such a woman.
You would. Have you found such people?
I think I have, actually. I have.
So what's the difference if you are controlling, if a lady is controlling herself with her head and the one that controls with her heart?
I mean, the earlier question was whether it was nature or nurture. So you tried to explain the nature part.
Nature.
Yeah.
I heard the story about a guy who grew up with a dad who just never had one woman. In fact, the father was the godfather of 3 sons. If you know what that meant. I'm not sure whether you know, because you have never achieved it. But the person who was going to marry this guy hadn't appreciated where the guy was coming from.
Okay.
Until they married.
So that's
And she
nurture.
found out that this guy His cheating is not even on a normal level of just sleeping with a woman. It's threesome for some level. To him, that was normal. When she found out, of course, she had to make a decision whether she wanted to be there or not. And then she said, look, if it was just a random girl here and there, she said I would have coped. But the fact that there were just you on 4 people,
Okay.
that was nurture.
That was nurture.
Not nature.
And so I will still go back to the question now. Are men predisposed because of their biological makeup to be promiscuous?
Yes, but there are certain rules and guidelines.
Well, let's listen to them.
So what controls a man? What are his values? I think, like, if it comes to, like, for me, the marriage context, if you remove faithfulness out of marriage, the whole thing will fall. Because what is good for the good is also good for the guy. Like, the ladies should also feel free to do, but I'm not sure if they would want to do that.
Yes, because we're not built like that.
What do you mean by that? You have not seen women who cheat?
I think there are, but majority may not want to just sleep around.
Yes, and
Are you not aware, for instance, even though I don't know what it is, it's a proven fact, that Nigeria has the highest level of paternal fraud in the world. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
no, we're the third
Is it the
highest.
third?
Please. We're the
Yes.
third highest.
We're one of the highest.
Yes.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
That means some women have been
That
trying
means
to
women go out as much as the men.
Okay.
So and then that comes back to what I'm saying, that there are certain rules that guide it. So what controls or what puts the limit to it? For me, I see, like, in the Bible, like that the Bible was not, many men of God were polygamous. They had many women. And it was not a big issue when God was addressing them. And there were also women, in fact, in the line of Jesus, 1 or 2 prostitutes that were. So it's the issue of sex or having sex outside is not a do or die. It's not like the relationship with God.
Jonathan, I could kiss you, but then that would be cheating.
Yeah, in trouble today.
I'm in trouble.
That cheating must happen today. But not with her. She is faithful.
And so to the next point that the man made, he said a man is a visual being. Therefore, if a woman breaks the rule of looking appealing to him, she shouldn't be surprised if he looks for more stimulating, appealing women. Now, for me, this was the most shallow statement that the man made. Because while men, yes, I agree, are moved by what they see, she could be, Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. At a point, she was the epitome of beauty, but he still cheated. And so, take it away from there. So for him, you have to be visually appealing. If you lose that appeal, then he will cheat. That's what he was saying.
I think that is debatable, because then you also find men with beautiful wives that cheat on their wives with their house help. How do you explain that?
Come on, there's something wrong with the man.
Yeah, because I think sometimes men.
That's really low, though.
I think
Where do you start from with a maid? Is she going to take a shower first?
no, but I think
We don't know. You people should tell us.
He can tell her. He made the allegation.
because at times it's not really beauty that some men are looking for.
Yeah.
They just want that freedom. The fact that I want to do this and I can do it.
Isn't that selfish, though?
We're all selfish.
No, but then the woman is not allowed to be selfish by what you said. When you said that the woman cheats from her heart and then you guys do it from your head.
There are women that they sleep with housemates too. So it's not like drivers and security.
But it's not as common as men shagging their maids. But then going back to Hawa's question about whether when you're married you have basically given away your freedom to sleep with other women or other men. All right. So when you take your marriage vows, you take oaths of exclusivity. All right. Whether we keep those vows or not, it's a different conversation.
Correct.
But at least in principle, you're confined by that rule. That for better, for worse, I shall be with you, whether I like you or I don't like you. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. When you grow older, your boobs have sagged. Even if I'm no longer interested in you, but I cannot sleep with someone else.
But that's if you're not a Muslim.
All right, yeah, but I'm saying that under the statute, statute law, they call it that thing, marriage law. You're not permitted to have sex with someone. And if you did, or if you do,
It's adultery.
it's adultery. Your
And
wife
you
can
can-
file for divorce for that,
Correct.
on that ground. So you're curtailed by law. You're curtailed by religion because
So go back to what I said. The shallow comment that if she loses her appeal, then she shouldn't blame him if he decides to go after something more stimulating as a grounds for what we have defined cheating.
as shallow as that may sound, I'll give you a short story
Okay?
about this man who had about $10,000. You must have heard the story before. He wanted to marry one out of 3 women. Right? One of them, he gave her $10,000 to do whatever she wanted. She went and bought stocks and shares and to prepare for the future together. The other one went and bought expensive jewelry and clothes just to touch up the future husband. The third woman went and did a boob job and a tummy tuck and a BBL with the same money.
Sorry, what did you
It's Brazilian butt lift. It's when a woman goes and adjusts her bum
Okay,
to look
and
beautiful.
what happened?
Who do you think he married?
The last woman.
The last one.
Yeah, the last woman. So what you're saying is that from a male's perspective, a regular male's perspective, the guy was right. We have to be visually appealing. If not, it's a grounds for you to go out. But he made a comment. He said, not except you are what?
If you're a Muslim, I mean, you're allowed to marry up to 4, so which means, you can sleep with other women.
And that means that each one will be as beautiful as the next.
But
Or the one that
I mean, sometimes the only reason why you want to add another wife is just because she's coming from a rich family.
But
Doesn't mean that she's
but does that
rich.
not even encourage the promiscuity
Oh, so that's what
that you're talking about?
How does it encourage the Christian?
The fact that it permits you to marry 4 wives.
But he's bringing her in. The issue in our society is that you have been wifed. You've been taken off the single shelf.
Yes.
You've been given a title. You've been put in a house, and now you have a man to call your own. Don't forget that society also is the one that drives this narrative that we all must be married. And because it drives it, a lot of women especially are under pressure, no matter what, to marry and to be with horrible men, whether she wants to be or not. And so how does it drive it? In their religion, for me, if we're going to talk brutally,
Yeah.
I think at least it helped to cap the man's desire.
I think
If he
that's-
knows that he can have 4 women, right? He has a period within which he can court each one. So at least he's been allowed to go into the jungle and hunt. He hunts for the first one.
Limited
He can hunt for a second one. And don't forget that each hunt has its own preparation, its own conclusion. And so by the time they are hoping that he has done 4, he should be tired and should be at home. That's for me, I think it's more honest. And when you mentioned religion, you mentioned the Christians. I have always wondered, I've asked specifically, I want to see a verse that says that the Christian or somebody who calls himself Christian by following Christ is not allowed to have more than one wife, because with the Muslims, they can have more than one wife. So if you see him toasting a girl, you're not going to be too surprised because he might mean to wife her. But if you see the Christian man toasting a girl or having a side chick,
It's a problem.
it's a problem. It's adultery. It's in the law. At what point did we get there? Because I know the verse that says that, as you said, the forefathers.
Yes.
And you are right. Look at Solomon. Solomon was the wisest man on earth. Yet when God went to him, he asked him, what do you want me to give you? He didn't ask him about the women he had. He never did. Even though the women led him astray, but that was because he married the non-Jewish women. And so they led his heart astray, not because they were women. And as you said, Abraham had more than one wife. Isaac had more than one wife. All of them had more. So you're right. For me, God does not have a problem with us. He probably understands what nature he gave you people and has made it all right. If you look at the statistics also of the world, women are far more than men. So who is going to marry the excess women? Who is going to be boyfriend to the other excess women? In Isaiah, in the Bible, it states that there will come a time when there will be 1 man to 7 women, that the women will even say to the men, don't do anything for us. We just want to be affiliated with you. And so, at this point, as we round this up, the last question I want to ask, should we revisit the societal notion of polygamy? Our traditionalists married more than one wife. Is it something we should begin to think of instead of, all this, taking a lion that is used to meat and making him eat grass in the name of, I don't know what, to just asking you is for conversation.
I think this is very interesting because if I was cheating, if I'm not sure if I would want to take it to marriage. Okay, because I think cheating is more interesting than marrying another woman.
So you might just skip the.
Just
The hunting is the hunting is the fun.
chop and go.
Chop and go.
Yeah, but not.
How did you even learn this kind of? You have never cheated. And you know chop and go.
So basically what you're saying is that it's not the issue of keeping her at home, but the issue of the hunt, the nature. And so what you're saying is that the man was right. If we do not agree that a man will cheat or hunt or whatever it is, we should just remain single because we will not see this man.
Yeah. The brutal truth is that men are still going to continue cheating. So it's either we take it or we don't. It's going to happen. So it's either you decide that come, I've accepted this, and you find what. So there's another thing that I thought we should say.
Okay.
Your happiness should not be dependent on someone else. I think if you come as a woman, you understand that your happiness is not coming from another person, especially the man. You wouldn't be so surprised or so shocked or so disappointed because he had cheated on you.
Yeah, I mean, there are a
So
few other issues.
one round now. So
A few other issues that society sort of, in principle, admits that the man can cheat. The bigger question is, if the woman cheated, do you understand what I'm saying? Because I often wonder, as I said earlier, if a woman had written the Quran, I do not believe that she would have agreed that a man can marry 4 wives. If you ask those women who's also married 4 wives, they will tell you they're still jealous. I'm not sure whether they're not jealous.
Yeah.
Do you get my point? And then for women, the bigger question is cheating a deal breaker? If your husband cheated.
But in our society, it isn't. I mean, you get hurt, you do drama for the husband, but the truth is, if you made the mistake to go home, your mother will say, do you honestly think your father didn't do the same thing? And so, no, but it's true, and so you'll be told to go home. So basically, if we're going to round this up now, I will go last. What would you say? Rounding it up now, what would you say?
I'm just thinking that, it's in our nature to do what we are doing, but it has to be selfless, because how will I feel if my wife cheated on me?
So is that what's holding you back? Would you cheat?
I wouldn't, no. That is not.
At least not publicly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it for me. I will not cheat.
All right, Salami.
I can't say if I won't cheat. I hope I won't. But bottom line is, I would always tell my wife, your happiness shouldn't be with me. You should be able to define your happiness. Most likely have them in your kids, or find something. Maybe it's your job. So if at all I ever cheat, if at all, which I doubt though, it won't be a deal breaker.
What does that mean though?
Martins, I have a question here, so you need to round up.
All right, I think what is good for the goose is good for the gander. I think that we need to review or revisit or reconsider some of our beliefs and orientation. If a man is allowed to be promiscuous, women should also be allowed to be promiscuous. A man asks the wife to leave the house because he found her cheating. But if he cheated, she can do the same. I think we need to review that.
That only happens because that man is rich. If the man wasn't rich and the woman has gone to cheat, he's never going to tell the woman to get out of the house.
So it's about economic power then?
Possibly.
Okay, are you people planning to reopen this? So, in rounding up here, I mean, this conversation will never end. Men cheat, women cheat, men have sex. It will never end. But I think the takeaway for us here is that, number one, your happiness should not be dependent on any other person. It shouldn't be. Number two, weigh everything in your relationship before you take the decision, whether it's the man that crept or the woman that crept. There's no right or wrong. It's what we've really been told. And your happiness is paramount. Number three, if you've never cheated and you're curious about it, they said sometimes when comfort goes into a room and she is praised, if you go into that room, you'll be beaten. So what you have not tried before is not the time for you to try it. And on a final note, society needs to wake up to the realities on ground. The men are lions. they have been given a nature that goes after blood. And going after blood is flesh. It's not going after grass. See you next time on our next edition, which will be probably at the end of the month. And I just want to thank my guests so much. Thank you very much for coming at such short notice, for being honest and being open. And I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you're honest.